This is a guitar that I have been eyeballing for a long time now. It is the 2014 Vintage V100MRJBM Distressed. I'm sure you can see why is it called Distressed, especially when you look at the back. Looking at it now, I've always wondered why didn't anybody buy this sooner. It looks extremely nice in person. Look at the way the bridge and tailpiece had been aged. Look at the brushed pickups. They even brushed the pickguard. I am digging the mismatched Bonamassa style control knobs. It is a truly nice guitar. You have mahogany body, mahogany neck, real rosewood fingerboard, 22 frets, the typical Les Paul stuff. And I'm happy to say that I finally have the chance to check it out because a kid bought it and I'm truly happy for him. You're getting a great guitar, man. Truth is, I've liked this guitar ever since we got it in the shop and I was eyeballing it, I was thinking about buying it, but I already have too many guitars. And I didn't especially need a $400 guitar since I'm not playing in clubs, I don't need a practice guitar, so it's going in good hands with my friend there. Of course, keep in mind that $400 is the old price. This guitar was made back in 2014. The prices have changed ever since. Everything is getting a bit more expensive. Now they're around $500-600 and they're still worth it. Before I disassemble it, let's discuss the brands Vintage and Wilkinson because a lot of people don't seem to know about them. Before we talk Vintage, we gotta mention John Hornby Skewes. After all, his name is on the back of the headstock. He is the founder and president of John Hornby Skewes Company, a noted music wholesaler located in England. John is in the music business for a long time now. The company was established back in 1965. He is also one of the pioneers in the Music Industry Association in the UK and the British Music Fair. You've probably heard some of his proprietary brands, including Fred King, Vintage, Encore, Santos Martinez, Pilgrim, Laka and the Kinsman musical accessories. Like the owner John, the brand Vintage has been around for quite some time now. It has been established back in 1995. In 2020, Vintage celebrated their 25th anniversary with a line of cool silver burst guitars. Some of the important milestones in vintage guitars history that we're gonna discuss today include Trev Wilkinson joining the Vintage team back in 2004, his name is also on the back of the headstock of this guitar, and of course the introduction of the Icon series back in 2006. The idea of the Icon series is that you get a pre-worn instrument, like one that has been played for 20 years, but you get it at a decent price. A couple of things that have to be mentioned here. First of all, this is a $500-600 guitar. Don't judge it like a Murphy Lab Gibson that costs like $10,000 and more. Second of all, not everybody likes aged guitars. I know that. You don't have to buy a pre-aged guitar, you can buy a brand new if you want to. Last but not least, proper aging is not an easy thing to do. It takes time and it costs money. The best scenario is that you age your guitar from playing and keeping it in your possession for like 20 years, but come on, who has time for this? If I have to be completely honest, I love the job that Vintage has done with the Icon series, especially for the money. I had the opportunity to try a couple of more guitars from the Icon series and I found the brochures on the official JHS website and I'm gonna bring them to screen now. I had the pleasure to try out the Distressed Tobacco Sunburst. The Lemon Drop was most certainly fresh, I loved it, but the JBM caught my attention the most. I know that the aging is not completely accurate, but it looks so damn cool in person. Let's measure those, starting with the bridge at 13.85 k ohms. Then we switch over to the neck, which should show us 7.25. Middle position should be somewhere around the 4, 5. These measure quite close to the PAFs in the Gibson Les Paul Custom, the 490R, 498T, but don't sound exactly like them. The bridge is too pneumatic with the tailpiece and go well together with the brushed pickups. They're also aged nickel. I think I've seen this brand of bridges, Sungil. Yep, I've seen it on a Hammer Standard 2017 made in Indonesia. Here is the number BM002. It is an original vintage single spring style with individual saddles and a single spring holding them in place. Here is a better look at the back and the bottom again. And it has thumb wheel and screwdriver adjustable struts. I managed to find the specs in the manufacturer's official website. It has zinc saddles and a zinc base plate. The tailpiece is a bit harder to remove, and it's made by the same company. I'm gonna bring the specs in a second. I'm not entirely sure who did the aging. I'm not sure the Korean factory makes them like this. It doesn't feature a finish like this on the website. They even aged the struts that are holding the tailpiece in place. Whoever did it, job well done, guys. I love it. On to the control scheme, which features a 3-way switch. The usual for a Les Paul, but look at the top hats. For the bridge we have gold with gold inserts, and for the neck we have amber ones. The whole guitar reminds me of a Joe Bonamassa Gibson, and even though this vintage is not marketed as a Joe Bonamassa signature, the model is V100MRJBM, as in Mr. Joe Bonamassa. The top has a lot of distressing details that you don't see on pictures. You see this one that is supposed to represent the rubbing from the forearm, but you have so much more additional dings, scratches. Here's a ding here. There are some scratches on the bottom, then some dents, some chips on the paint. It's really cool in person. I wouldn't say that it looks like accurate aging, but it is damn cool, and especially for that price. Let's check out that neck. It is a mahogany neck that features a set neck construction, and you can see that I've already polished those frets. They're shiny now. I've used Music Nomad Frine to shine them. Actual rosewood fingerboard that has plastic pearloid crown inlays. Although I have to say these are pretty nice, and they do look like real mother of pearl from a certain distance. Another cool feature of the Icon series is that the aging doesn't stop at the body. It continues on the neck, and you can see the binding. It is aged. It has black dot inlays, and it has been painted over to look like old binding. I'm extremely happy with the attention to detail for this asking price. The place where most manufacturers cut the costs is the nut, and this is to be expected, but you can replace it anyway. The nut measures at 43mm or 1.69 inch. The 12th fret is at 52mm or 2.04 inches. The thickness at the first fret is 20.5mm or 0.80 inch. The thickness at the 12th fret is 22.6mm or 0.88 inch. The fretboard radius is 305mm or 12 inches. The neck feels comfortable to me, and no surprise, it is a thin C profile at the 1st and 12th frets. A closer look at that molded nut. Not too great, not too terrible, gets the job done. That's gotta be the first time that a molded nut looks good on a guitar. This is the truss rod cavity. It features a 2-way truss rod that is adjusted by a 4mm Allen wrench. Here it is. And let's check out the headstock. It features those chrome Wilkinson tuners, and the exact model is WJ303 designated JBM. The headstock also features this gold colored decoration and the vintage logo. There's some slight distressing here on the top side as well. It's distressed on the bottom as well. I'm gonna show you in a minute. The truss rod cover features a single screw, and it looks like this. I'm gonna need some help from my girlfriend to take off this wrap. Let's see if she can do it. Yeah, sort of a bell shape, gloss on the front, white on the bottom. This is what covers the truss rod. Something else I need to point out: even though the disc has been sanded down to look like distressed from a belt buckle, there's still some clear coating on top of this job. It feels a bit unnatural, but it's there to prevent the paint from chipping any further. This has the same vibe as the LTD Volsung, the signature guitar for Lars Fridriksen from Rancid. The back of the neck reveals this extremely comfortable set neck construction with easier higher fret access. Here's a closer look of the set neck joint with a bit of a distressing on the edges as well. And here's an attempt of distressing the neck. Honestly, I've seen worse on a lot more expensive guitars. It's decent. Here's the back of the headstock, and I want to start with something so cool. Look at the way the Wilkinson tuner was installed. It requires only one screw on the bottom, but there's another hole here on the top to make it look like it had the old deluxe style of tuners and they had been replaced with the modern Wilkinsons. What's even cooler is that they went all the way to even imprinting the outline of the old tuners. That is so cool. I did not expect such attention to detail, and this is clever thinking, by the way. This way you can avoid aging the tuners, which I imagine is expensive. You can say that they had been replaced. Here's a closer look of the Wilkinson tuners. It says Jinho Korea. If you look at their official website, you'll find a short note from Trev Wilkinson about working with them. Here's what the back of the headstock looks like, and on the top of it you see that this guitar was made all the way back in 2014 in Indonesia. Starting from the top, we have written Vintage, a John Hornby Skewes product. You already know who he is. Underneath it, proudly written, designed in association with Trev Wilkinson, and that's his signature. You've seen it on the Jinho website. John Skewes is proud to have Trev Wilkinson on board, and he should be. This guitar is crazy good, especially for the amount of money that it was worth in 2014. I'm usually pretty decisive about this. Right now I'm not sure if I prefer this one with the pickguard in place or without it. Tell me what you think, guys. Speaking of the pickguard, I love the fact that it has been brushed as well to look like the guitar has been used. And here's a better look of the back side of it. I'm gonna set this V100JBM with 1046 Ernie Ball strings in E standard. And then I'm gonna check the weight of this bad boy. Honestly, I've been expecting a bit heavier, 4530 grams or almost 10 pounds. Let's hear those Wilkinson PAFs. I think I already told you my thoughts about this guitar. You can tell that I liked it, and I was this close to buying it, but luckily I didn't because it's in good hands now. I'm sure this kid is gonna play the hell out of it and is gonna enjoy it. Speaking of, would I recommend this guitar and who would I recommend it to? Not only this one, but the Vintage brand in general, and the answer is yes, definitely I would recommend it to beginners and even intermediate musicians. I've even seen some professional musicians using them on stage. Of course they have upgraded the electronics like the pots, the three-way switch, the output jack, but if you do that, you got a great guitar on your hands. I would compare them to the inspired by Gibson Epiphones that are worn, that don't have the Gibson electronics in them, and I must say they're pretty close in quality, if not the Vintage is a bit better in my opinion. But keep in mind that I'm talking about this particular guitar. I have tried other Vintages, they're all good, but I mean this one because I've seen it, disassemble it, and I really like it. Bottom line, if you find vintage guitars locally in shops or used or whatever, at least give them a try. Trust me, they're worth it. I'm truly amazed by the quality, materials used and the attention to detail crammed in this guitar made in Indonesia for so cheap. Definitely give those a try. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. Like and subscribe.